Introduce the guests of the hour. We have William Sellers, Sam Marin, and Courtney Taylor. Come on down.
Oh! Hello.
Welcome to Miami. You guys got lucky. Today is beautiful. Yesterday, a little bit rainy. Today, nice and sunny.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I kind of enjoyed the rain from a distance.
From a distance?
Yeah.
Well, do you guys want to introduce yourselves and explain what characters you guys are on the show?
I'm William Salyers, and I play the banister on the stairs. No, I'm the raccoon. I'm Rigby. Yeah.
I'm Sam Marin, and I play Pops, Benson, and Muscle Man.
I'm Courtney Taylor, and I play Starla and Audrey and a bunch of other small female characters.
Awesome. So the way that this is going to work, we have a microphone set up right in the middle of the room. I know it looks a little bit intimidating, but I urge you guys will take whatever questions, right? Is anything off limits here? We could...
As long as there's nothing about regular show, I'm fine.
Okay, so no questions about the show that they're on. No, just kidding. So do we have any brave volunteers to step down to the microphone? If you have a question, sweetheart, you can come right there, and you can ask in the microphone.
He needs a little assist.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Wait.
What's your name?
Jaden.
David. Hi, David.
No, Jaden.
Oh, Jaden. I'm sorry. Can I talk to David?
Bravey, could you please do your scream? I love when you do your scream. Please.
Well, I scream a lot of things. Which one do you want?
I don't know.
Stop talking.
How about this one? Stop talking!
Hi, my name is JT, and I got an interesting question to say. Well, what if, let's see, what if Benson got tired of working at the park and decided to find a new job and ended up working in the Krusty Krab?
Crossover.
As long as I was in charge, I might not have a problem with that. But I would not be taking orders from anyone else.
You said no questions about the regular show, so what's your opinion on pizza?
Awesome!
Yeah.
Paparelli's is the best. But they close.
I like pizza. But it ruins my girly figure, so I can't have it.
Thank you, you're awesome.
Thank you.
Question for Sam. How different was it from the 2 a.m. pilot? Like, how was it the transition to the pilot to the real show? Would you like to do Adult Swim show version where Benson just swears a storm?
You mean J.G. Quintel's student film?
Yeah.
His first film that it was sort of based on? It's sort of the same character for Benson, at least, kind of, a little bit. I mean, that character from the original student film was based on a friend of ours, and I think Benson is a little bit more based on me. So I think that was the difference for me in doing the student film and then the actual show. And then obviously it's more for kids, but I think that's nicer. It kind of forces them to be a little more creative with the jokes sometimes, and like they'll have jokes that are inappropriate, and then they have to change them, and then they have to think of creative ways of figuring out how to do that. So I think it's good like it is.
But would you like for Benson to drop an F-bomb every once in a while?
Oh. I don't know. I guess there's something that can be funny about that, but I don't know. I think it's good.
What's your favorite Benson freak-out moment?
Favorite one? Probably when the car broke down and they were at the gas station, and he gets angry at them, but he loses it and starts crying because he's just had enough. I can't remember which exact episode that was, but I think that was my favorite.
Thanks.
Where do you see this show going within the next couple of years?
On, I hope. I know where it's going next, but I can't tell you.
Not even a little bit? Not even a tiny sneak peek?
It's a dramatic change. So it's going someplace very different.
How come, you made the how did you get the idea of making the bird Mordecai and the raccoon Rigby best friends, instead of any other animals? How did you get the idea?
Well, J.G. Quintel created the show, so it was really his idea, but because Sam and J.G. went to school together, Sam might be the best qualified to talk about that a little bit.
I remember when J.G. was coming up with ideas for a student film, and before, I think during his 4th year, he had an idea for a character that was a blue jay, and I think it lived in a zoo, but it was just this blue jay, I think, trying to escape from the zoo, and that was the Mordecai character, and I think he just liked drawing that character and the way it looked, and then I'm not sure how he got an idea. I think he just thought raccoons were cool and fun to draw, and I think he just wanted to put, different characters that he liked together in one place so they could all interact.
This question is for all three of you guys and gal. This question is, what was your reaction to auditioning and finding out what the show was going to be about later on?
That's a good question. Well, for me, I didn't have any context at all when I got the audition sides from my agent. So the lines were from the pilot where the guys anger the sky god by playing rock, paper, scissors and getting 100 ties in a row. And so, so the lines were 2 ties, you don't know what I'm gonna throw next, baby. And I had no idea what that meant. I didn't know what that was referring to. I didn't know it was railroad ties, zip ties. I didn't know if it was kinky. I had no idea what they were talking about. But I could tell by the fact that they were short phrases and they sounded kind of intense that it was probably an angsty character. So, so the voice I went with was 2 ties. You don't know what I'm gonna throw next, baby. And I didn't know what I was saying, but apparently it worked. So that was my reaction.
Since I was in school with JG when he was coming up with things, and he kind of showed me stuff because he had thought of me as for the voices earlier on because I did voices for him in school. So I kind of saw things as they progressed. So I guess my experience was a little different. So I kind of already had an idea. The audition was just sort of a, part of the process, but it came way after I already saw the ideas.
I auditioned. I actually remember the scripts coming through. I actually kept some of the scripts from my agency, so I actually have the original Rigby, Muscle Man, and 2 other characters in my desk. For some reason, I hung on to them, and then when Starla came around, it was Starla and a cashier. They were looking for someone who could play both voices. So I did, for Starla, I can't remember the voice, but it was very sort of just a regular girl. And then since the cashier only had one line, I was like, okay, I'll do this kind of Harvey Fierstein kind of voice, because it's just the one line. And so then when I got hired, I came in for the session, and they were like, oh no, we want you to do the cashier's voice for Starla. And I was like, oh man, that's a throat ripper. So always be careful what you do in an audition if there's any aspiring voice actors out there. But yeah, so that's how Starla started. And then after that, I came in to do the two girls in the flying car, Skabatha and Trash. And it was a love affair after that.
Thank you.
First off, I'm surprised this mic is high enough. I'm pretty short. I want to start off by saying my friend actually introduced me to the show. He had been bugging me and says, this is an amazing show. You need to watch it. I was like, I don't know. I don't really follow hype. I actually listened to him, and I sat down and watched every episode possible within the span of like 2 days. But for my question, is there any time during your voice acting sessions that you see yourself coming out in your characters?
Well, yeah, I think your characters are always somewhat rooted in you. I'm always a little more horrified when I see Rigby coming out in me and I'm not in a session. Every once in a while, my wife and I will be like, having a tip or something, and she'll go, you know who you just sounded like? I'm like, no, stop talking. I think we all sort of start with ourselves, but I also. Don't tell him I said this, but I also use my 16-year-old kid a lot for Rigby.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, Benson is a lot like me, and I worry sometimes that I'm getting more like him because I'm thinking of getting a cat now. I'm like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't do that.
I'm totally like Starla. I am. Starla is just me and like my alter ego in high school. I think the whole like trying to figure out ways to have Muscle Man prove his love. I mean, I still do that. I do that to my husband now. I'm like, it's a test! And he's like, another test. And we've been together for so long. He's like, no more tests. And I'm like, there's always a test.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, look, someone decided to come as the second coolest character in the show.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
My question is not even related to the show or anything. I wanted to know if when you guys are doing the signings, would you guys sign my onesie, or is that a little weird?
Yes and yes.
I've signed way weirder things than that.
All right, awesome.
Bring it on, honey.
Yeah, of course we will. Yeah.
I love you guys, and I've never missed like an episode, so awesome.
We thank you.
Hey guys.
Hey.
I have a question. Oh, sorry. What's the most challenging episode you guys done? Like the hardest episode?
Well, I think did you see the movie?
Which one?
The regular show, the movie.
Oh, not that.
That had its own challenges because we recorded it. We recorded it over a long stretch of time. We were working on that for what, about 2 years?
Probably.
Yeah, and so whenever you work on something that long, then questions of like consistency, like if you have even like a minor like rasp in your throat because you're getting a cold or something, you kind of can't record because it's got to be, unlike an episode where as long as you sound the same for 15 minutes, you're okay. If someone's going to listen to you for 2 hours, you have to be really consistent. So that was probably the most technically challenging. There have been episodes where, Rigby's already a high energy character, and there's episodes where there's a whole lot of Rigby being really high energy. And so that can get, it's fun, but it can get, exhausting. So any of those.
For me, it was the early Muscle Man episodes where they first had whole episodes for him, or like more where he was the featured character in those episodes, because especially early on, his voice would really mess up my throat after a while, or my voice. So like halfway through, I'd start to lose my voice, and I'd be like, JG would be recording next to me, and I'd be like, I think my voice is starting to go. So we'd like take a break, and I'd get like honey and water or something, and then trying to get through the end. But usually by the end of those, I'd lose my voice for like a day or two, or I'd be hoarse. But now it's gotten a little better because I've gotten more used to doing it, and I found a good spot for his voice, so it doesn't rip my throat up as much. But I think those were the hardest ones for me.
The hardest one for me was when I don't sing, and I'm terrified of singing, and so I came in, and we had to sing something really basic. It was like Happy Birthday or something. I can't remember what it was. But not only, it came around in a circle, and I was like peeing myself because I was so terrified to say. I was so afraid they were just going to be like, oh my God, she's terrible. We have to fire her now. And on top of it, we had Gray Delisle, who plays every cartoon character ever. And she was singing, and she's a Grammy award-winning singer. And so in between us singing, she was sitting there, like, they played her the song, like, once, and she listened to it, and they're like, do we need to play it for you again? She's like, no, I think I got it. And then just sang the whole song perfectly, and I was like, yeah, I should go. So that was definitely my hardest one.
That reminds me of when the episode where we had the rap battle, and so like, you know,
Which is my favorite episode, the one with Tyler, the Creator?
Yeah.
Oh my God, love.
Tyler, the Creator, and Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, you know, it's like...
And MC Light, what?
And I'm rapping in front of those people, which, yeah, that was... I just had to let go of the awkward. It was just so much awkward, I just had to, like, swim in it.
Have you guys met any of those guests, like, during the recording sessions for the show? Yeah?
I didn't meet them. I don't think I was there that time you did the rap for that.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the guest stars are busy with other projects, and so they have to record at different times. But, yeah, I mean, we've met Terry Crews and, gosh, who else?
Ed Asner.
Ed Asner, who was Santa in our Christmas episode. Ed's great. Yeah, a bunch of wonderful people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. Oh my gosh, so nervous. Okay. I just want to say I love the movie so much. I cried like a baby, I think. It was amazing. My question is, what was your favorite part to record on the movie?
Favorite part in the movie?
Yeah, to record.
Let's see. Favorite part to perform in the movie? Probably the tearful confession when he. I'm not gonna like ruin the movie for people that haven't seen it, but when he admits what he did,
Yeah, I know.
I think that was my favorite part to do. Sam?
Favorite part of the movie? I liked when Pops and Benson were sneaking around the high school and trying to like disguise themselves by just putting on varsity jackets. I thought that was funny.
That was amazing. And Sam, can you squeal like Musselman? Oh my God! Thank you so much. You're amazing, guys.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Hello.
Hey.
I like to think that regular show seems to have two different sides to it. On one side, you have these fantastical, cosmic type adventures, and then on the other side, you have like almost like a soap opera going on. And I was just wondering, which part of it do you guys like to perform? Do you like the soap opera, or do you like those fantastic adventures?
Well, speaking for myself, because Rigby is so over the top so much of the time, I kind of get a kick out of when I get to use really dry humor, when they'll have me just like drop in a line really flat, you know, because it's such a contrast to how over the top he usually is. So some of that drier stuff is actually stuff that I love doing, you know.
I like that I like the episodes that get really epic but are sort of rooted in these little like character things, like when Benson is just trying to prove that he didn't get an email wrong, that he didn't like misread an email, but then it grows into this huge epic thing. I think those are the most fun ones because they're starting with this like little bit of like character thing it's all like rooted in. I think those are my favorite.
Starlet is all soap opera, so I definitely love that, especially because I don't get the opportunity in my other parts of my career. I'm usually like a badass, video game voice. And so to play somebody who's all about love and attention and drama is so much fun. So I'm all about that.
And one comment, when Rigby does that stop talking, that's exactly my 15-year-old when I pick him up from middle school and he's tired and hungry. And oftentimes I've said, "You're being such a Rigby." Thank you.
You're welcome. Tell him I said hi.
Hello. My name is Adrian, and don't start with the Rocky reference because I always get that a lot. I just want to say, I want to show my gratitude for you, J.J. Quintel, and the rest of the staff for producing such a great show. I feel like it's not just for kids. I feel like it's for all ages, especially for people who grew up during the 80s and 90s. I enjoyed the references so much. So thank you so much for taking part in such a great show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is for Sam. I'm very impressed that you have taken part more than one role for the show. But this is a weird question, but have you ever noticed that your voice of Muscle Man sounds just like the same as Christopher Sabat's voice for Kumagawa and Yu Yu Hakusho?
I don't know what that from. I don't think I know that.
That was just an anime, but
okay.
Both characters sound just like the same.
I'll have to look at it. Yeah.
But who does it better?
My mom.
Well, I say you.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, big fan of your work. I've watched the show for as long as I can remember. One question that's always been on my mind, because it's such a big cast, and one of the big stars of the show is Mark Hamill himself. So what's it like working with such a big voice acting and acting legend?
Well, he was supposed to be on the show a lot, but then he was off doing some little sci-fi movie. Like, I think, arguably, he is best known as Skips from the regular show. So I think he really needs to stop playing his little side projects and focus. No, Mark is amazing, and to be in the room with a guy who is just simply a cultural icon. There's no way around that. He's not just an amazing actor. He's a fixture in our culture, and he is so humble and so nice and so exceptionally talented. It was really cool to find out that he's just as great in person as you would hope he would be.
All right. Thanks for talking. Thanks, guys.
I have a question for all of you guys. What made you want to become a voice actor?
They pay you for that. What I was really, really lucky. I had done little bits of voice acting throughout my career. I've been acting since I was 15, and I've done a lot of theater. And many years ago, when I was in New York, or sometimes when I was doing regional theater, somebody would say, well, this guy on our board has a business and he'd like somebody to do a radio commercial for it or something. And I would do that. But I never really thought of myself as a voice actor. And then a buddy of mine, Scott Adsit, co-created a show called Moral Oral for Adult Swim. And thank you. I love my Moral Oral fans. And he asked me to come and audition for it, to come and do a reading of it. And I wasn't very nervous. I didn't think there was any chance that I would get on it. I knew how hard it was to become a voice actor. So I wasn't at all nervous, and I got that job, and that's kind of what started me. And I love it. It's some of the most fun work I've ever done with some of the greatest people I've ever met. So I'm just really lucky.
I went to animation school. And my friend created Regular Show, and I did voices for him for his films in school. So after Regular Show got made into a TV show, he hired me to do voices on the show.
So you didn't really want to be a voice actor, is what you're saying?
I didn't really want to be, no.
He's like, eh. I did not know what voice acting was. I was in theater school, and I was managing a boxing gym at the time, and I had some vocal cord issues because when my microphone would break during my trainings, in the class, my fitness classes, I would just scream at the people that, to do push-ups and stuff like that. So my voice was kind of rough. I went in to do my monologues to apply for a school in New York, and the gentleman who watched my audition said, "You have a terrible voice. I would never take you with that voice. You have to go to a doctor and get whatever's wrong in there fixed." So I went back to my voice and speech teacher. I was very upset. I was in tears. And she said, "I think you should try voice acting." And I said, "I don't even know what that is." So she sent me to a voiceover class. And I ended up booking my first. The minute I got behind the mic, I knew that this was what I was supposed to do. I didn't know what it was before, but I had so much fun doing it. And so I booked my first audition that she sent me on. And then I moved to LA to see if I could do this for a living. And I booked my first audition there. So the moral of the story is when somebody says that they don't like something about you or that something about you isn't cool, you can go ahead and make that into some lemonade.
How'd you come up with the name Trash Boat?
Yeah, well, first of all, I changed it back. That was one of the writers. I don't know where they came up with that. I think they just asked themselves, what would somebody who's not very bright think sounds cool, but is really, really horrible? I think that's how they came up with that. Trash boat. I changed it back.
Hi, I got probably the dumbest question ever.
Cool.
My friend Brandon is totally in love with Pops. He mimics his voice perfectly. He's always like, "I'm not nervous, I'm not nervous." And also, why does Pops think candy is currency?
Lollipops are valuable. They're the most valuable currency one can own. And I have many of them.
Thank you so much.
All right, so I love the show. Rigby's probably my favorite character, but this question is for Sam. What exactly was 2 in the AM PM supposed to be? Like a pitch for a regular show? Or
No, I don't. I think 2 in the AM PM. That was JG's student film, and that was just. That actually came. I think we had a thing at school where we do a film in 2 days, and just for fun, and it started by picking a random subject from a hat, and I think the subject was candy or something like that. So a bunch of people went off and made little films, and that was JG's film for that 2-day kind of film festival in school. And then he liked his idea that he came up with, so he decided not to do it for that and make it his full year project. But I don't think at that point he was making it to become a show.
Did he ever use it for a pitch or no?
There was a time when I think he was working on it with MTV, but that was only because they saw it and then asked him to make a show out of it. I don't think Cartoon Network saw it, but I'm sure, but I don't think he ever used it to pitch anything. I don't think.
Okay.
But you'd have to ask him.
Thank you.
If there's any of you guys out there who haven't seen 2 in the AM PM, you need to look it up because many of your questions will be answered.
Hi, guys. Can I just start by saying you guys have influenced an entire group of my friends. There's not a single one of my friends who's not like a Rigby, a Pops. Apparently, I'm the muscle man of my group as a joke. Yeah. They get Rig Juice jokes. We get, woo, all that. So thank you for that, for one. My question, this is something you probably heard a lot, but have you ever used your voices for evil? I noticed you mentioned, you do it sometimes in the off. Come on, in the drive-thru when you're getting your food, you don't honestly go like, yeah, can I get that milk or something? So.
I've never done that.
What I want to do, I haven't yet, but it's going to happen at some con. I really want to show up in some kind of like set up with the promoter so that they do like a Rigby voice competition, and then like wear like really crappy cosplay that covers me entirely, and see if I could actually win a Rigby voice contest. I think that would be fun.
Thank you guys very much.
You bet.
So you've already told us like how you became voice actors, but do you have any advice for people who want to become voice actors?
Well, I think you can see from us up here that 2 out of 3 voice actors get their work through their friends. No, I mean, I kid,
think this
but
is the first time that I've actually gone the honest route on anything. I actually started from the beginning.
I think that I mean, I really do have incredible respect for Courtney because of the way that she did it. She just set her mind to it and persevered and made it happen. I don't know, Courtney, you should answer that question because you're the one that blazed the trail.
Well, I mean, I started a long time ago, so I can't speak to what the current environment is. I know it's much more competitive than it was when I started, but my motto is there's an exception to every rule, so why shouldn't it be me? And so if it's something that you really love, I mean, I think it's probably more competitive at this point than on camera acting because, you know, one person can do multiple roles, and so they might need 4 to 6 people for a show with 20 characters instead of 20 people like they do on camera. But my thing is always, you know, treat it like a craft. People seem to think that there's a difference between on-camera acting and voice acting, and the best voice actors I know are the ones who truly take everything as, you know, it's scene study, it's knowing who you are, who you're talking to, where you are, all of the basic questions that you would tackle in any basic acting class. Keeping an eye and an ear out for characters when you're outside of the booth, because so much of what we do in video games and animation, they'll just raffle off roles when you're in the room. They'll be like, okay, we need like a 92-year-old grandmother. Can you do it? Can you do it? And then people will just kind of throw out their versions of it and they'll pick one. So much of the work is done outside of the booth. I'm always looking at movies, whispering back. My husband hates watching television with me because I'll be whispering back to the television. He's like, are you even paying attention to the story? Or are you just, I'm like, shh, shh. And so I'm gathering stuff all the time to take into the booth. Improv classes come in real handy. The funnier you are, the more helpful that is. Obviously, these guys come by that naturally. But improv and cold reading, I can speak to very much. I did a video game last week that I work on all the time, where I literally don't have time to read the lines before I start talking. So I'm reading it and processing it in my brain to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about in the moment, because they're asking for 600 lines in a 4-hour session, which is a pretty fast clip. So all of those things are helpful, but really it's about what's in here for anything that you want to do in your life. Don't let anyone tell you no. And, you know, you can be the exception to any rule as long as you really believe that.
Thank you.
I love all the show. I love the characters, but I gotta say, Benson does not get enough love. Am I right? He's great. One of my favorite characters, probably my favorite character. But my question is, in the studio, does any ad-libbing go on? Do you kind of go off script sometimes, or is it, you know, kind of your own words?
Very rarely do we go off script. It's a tightly scripted show, and I think it speaks to the brilliance of the writers that we get that question a lot. Apparently, you know, we sound like we're just talking off the cuff, which is great. Animation, by its nature, you know, you're often. Our show is what's called storyboard driven, so it doesn't originate with the voices. So there's timing is very important, and we can't really change it much. We will do things. We'll change words for international versions because some things are okay in some countries and not okay in other countries. and we might, somebody would say, "Hey, can I drop the and in this sentence or something like that?" But it's pretty much, we pretty much stick to the script, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there's only times where you make up lines is pretty much when we do like crowd scenes.
It's what they call walla,
Yeah.
when you have, everybody reacting to something big that happened, or everybody's afraid, or then you get to kind of make up whatever you
Yeah,
want.
most of the time you can't even hear that stuff though. So.
Hi. If each of you could write an episode of the regular show, what would the episode be called, and what would the story be about?
If we could write our own episode? Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I guess speaking as Rigby, the episode would be called Finally. And it would be about everybody realizing just how awesome I actually am.
I actually had an idea for an episode that I thought would be funny to base an episode. I don't know if you know the play Streetcar Named Desire, with Muscle Man and Starla. And Muscle Man would be Stanley Kowalski from Streetcar Named Desire, and just base the entire thing like as a parody of that play. And Pops would be Mitch, and then Starla would have a sister who's the Blanche Dubois that Muscle Man just can't stand. What?
She has a sister.
She does, but I think she'd have to have a different one because her sister isn't enough. She'd have to have another sister that's like Blanche Dubois.
Mine would be Love in the Time of Cholera, where everyone would be completely lovesick with Starla. She would finally have her day in the sun, where everyone realized how beautiful and attractive she is, and she would be revered as the gorgeous and dazzling woman that she is on the inside.
She kind of looks like she has cholera.
Kind of. Nobody's ever explained why she's green. Don't know. I have my own personal choices.
Hi guys, how you doing? As you know, you guys are a big inspiration. Is there anybody you have yet to meet, like a hero that you haven't met or want to meet or aspire to meet and talk to?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think working in this business, you get to meet some pretty incredible people. I mean, I was kind of blown away to meet George Takei. That was kind of a big deal to me. He was not feeling well that day and asked somebody for a cup of hot water, and I think I nearly broke a leg getting to the break room so I could get him a cup of hot water. But yeah, I mean, gosh, I've met so many people who have met and acted with people that have achieved what I was aiming for my whole life, So I think if you manage to carve out a career in what we do, you're an exceptional person. And so I'm kind of blown away by all of them.
I've always wanted to meet Dick Van Dyke. I'm a huge Dick Van Dyke fan. So.
I've always, look, I'm just a drag queen in a woman's body. Cher, Bette Midler, Carol Burnett. I can tell you that when I met Mark Hamill, when I walked in to actually work with Mark Hamill, and I get to sit next to him, so every time I'm like, hi Mark, how's it going? All I wanted to do was time travel back to that 9-year-old who saw that movie and just be like, because we play Rigby's parents. Mm-hmm. So technically, I am married to him. Yeah. Okay, so that's in my mind. That's where I was like, oh my God, Mark Hamill's my husband. So all I wanted to do was go back in time to that 9-year-old and be like, as I was starstruck watching that movie, like so blown away, to be like, you know what? Forward in time, you're going to be sitting in a room with him, talking to him. How major is that? I mean, that still blows my mind every time I walk in the room. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Hey, name's AJ. I really love your show.
Thanks.
Yeah, me and my brother like Mordecai and Rigby, except, he's always knocked out after one punch.
So he's Rigby.
Yeah, big time. All right, so was there ever an episode of regular show where you were reading it or just like hearing about it and you just thought in your mind, this is just too insane even for this show. Like, was there ever an episode like that?
I think that happens about every week when I read the storyboard. I always laugh out loud at least once, but Brilliant Century Duck Crisis, where half the moon was destroyed. I was like, that can't be good. That's gonna hurt. That's not. But yeah, I'm amazed that it's one of the people earlier was asking a question about the normal sort of storylines versus the really crazy out of. About the time that I think that it can't get any weirder, it does.
For me, it was the one, I can't remember the name, but it's the one where Mordecai and Rigby go into a private country club, and the rich guy ends up turning into a toilet at the end.
In space?
There's a lot of, in space, and floats off in space. There's a lot of episodes where I'm like, man, this is getting really, okay. But then I watch and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good, okay.
I don't get the storyboards. They only send me the script because I'm not a regular on the show. And so every time, I have no idea what's going on. I come in the room and I'm like, what? I don't, death is here? Okay, yeah. So pretty much every single one, I have no idea what's going on. And it's always over the top. But I think the stuff with death, that guy is so funny. That British guy, I love him.
And his kid.
Yeah.
That's kid Thomas, that's horrible to babysit.
Yeah, or the fact that Thomas was a spy. I mean, that,
Yeah, the other Thomas, yeah.
You just wrapping that up, I was like, sure, okay. I mean, anything goes at this point, so.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. My name is Anthony Gonzalez, and I got a question from William Salad and Sam Markley. What was their favorite part from the episode from Fuzzy Dice? Fuzzy Dice.
What was our favorite part from Fuzzy Dice? Probably the name of the episode. Because that was pretty silly. What was it about? It was.
They were trying to get fuzzy dice for Pops because that's what he wanted for his birthday, and they were impossible to win at the there's a Chuck E. Cheese sort of place.
Wasn't that was that the one where Pops would start to burst into tears, would start to weep?
That's like every Pops episode.
Okay, because I really love that. I love it. I actually, my favorite part of that episode, or any episode that involves Pops, is when he starts to tear up and get weepy, and they're all like, they all love him so much. They're like, but we gotta stop that. He can't. Don't let him do that. So I like that.
And what about the animatronics one? The animatronics.
What's that?
The animatronics one.
Oh, the one
gang.
With the bears.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I like my favorite part of that one was the gunfight at the end where they shoot them apart and they keep working because it was so Terminator.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, I'm Donovan. My first episode of the show was the one with Benson where they get the new boss, and that one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I need to think, try and recuperate. Okay. Did you ever think Starla would become a recurring character, or did you just think she would be that one episode?
I never thought that they would have her continue on. I just based on the fact that we gross everybody out so much when we make out. I think every time I'm gonna get fired. We sit across the room from each other, and when we do the make-out stuff, it's actually not together. So Sam makes gross make-out noises from one side of the room, and then I make gross make-out noises from the other side of the room. And our director, Chris Zimmerman, is so disgusted by it. Like, you can see her behind the glass being like, okay, that's enough. And I'm just waiting for her to be like, you know what, it's so out. Just get out.
You guys would probably hate to see them do that, wouldn't you? Would you hate that if they did that right now? No, you wouldn't hate that?
Babe, come here.
Mitch!
which point Chris will go, too much liquid sounds, do it again, drier.
Hello. I was wondering, say you have like a season coming up or an episode you're about to record, what do you do in preparation for that?
Well, for me, it's we record on Mondays, and I generally get the storyboard on Friday. And the storyboard it's great. It's like a kind of a simple graphic novel of the show, just panel by panel. And that's how we have context. As Courtney was saying that she only gets the scripts might say, you know, Rigby, ARGH, exclamation point. But I don't know what he's going arg to or about, or if it's, you know, it's good, it's bad, whatever. But in the storyboard, you can see what the characters are doing. And so I read the storyboard, and then if I have an incidental voice, like for one of the Halloween episodes, Creepy Doll, they had me do the voice of the Creepy Doll. So if I have an incidental voice like that, I'll think about what I want to do with it, just so I have some ideas going into the room. So that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I will read through the storyboard just to get the context of what's going on, and then I'll go through and look at the script, and then if there's anything really long, I might practice that, because I have trouble on the longer sections. Just make sure I know what the character's, you know, doing, and I'm used to, like, I don't have to, like, read it as much, but I just try and familiarize myself with the story.
I do vocal warm-ups. A lot of vocal warm-ups on the way to regular show, because Starlet is something that can really injure your voice. And I usually come in and I'll do one or two other characters, and it's usually something way out from left field, like Japanese game show, you know, girl that shows the prizes. And so I'll have to start thinking real fast, like, okay, what am I going to do? And also trying to figure out what the heck is going on, because I don't have the storyboards. So I'll usually run through that a couple of times to try and figure it out. Then just kind of give it up to the Lord and think, okay, I'll go in and I'll get to see what's going on when I get there, and focus on the smaller stuff.
And I'm also, I'm that 15-year-old that the guy with the David Bowie shirt was talking about before. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, regular show, this is your final question.
Hi. All right. I'm like a big fan of the voices that you do in the show, so I was wondering if each of you could like say a quote from from your character, please.
Oh God.
What's your name?
Catalina.
Katarina?
Catalina.
Catalina. Ooh,
Yes.
that's pretty.
Thank
Catalina.
you.
Hey, Catalina, always remember, I am the coolest dude you will ever meet.
Thank you.
Ooh, I love rock, paper, scissors. Although where I come from, we call it quartz, parchment, cheers.
Thank you.
You have to prove your love.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're gonna take a gigantic group photo right now with the cast of regular show. So if you guys wanna come to the end of the stage, and we need everyone from the audience to gather around.